I remember the things that I heard, right? Like, oh, he's over smart, he talks so much, he can't even score like a decent in step one, like he should give up. He used to use a Nokia phone and he still couldn't score. I mean, can you believe, like, imagine how dumb he is.
But
No, it was fun.
at one point, how many teams were you managing? Like I was 13, so probably 20.
Does not have resources, does not have the methodology, does not have, even though they're willing to work hard, they don't know the process. More how you look at the journey and what are the things that actually matter in the journey in the long run. I think I had access to those things early on, which I think again I was lucky in that regard.
How did you change your fortunes, man? But I kind of the idea that you were taking so many people on your boat together was really exciting. Doing it for the future, man. You were going to do it for the
Yeah,
future. I'm sure these people would have matched wherever they wanted.
you have to like just keep going. Um, Live in the moment. That's
Live
what
in the
I'll say to
moment.
you. Live in the
Okay,
moment.
okay. Hopefully you'll end up in better positions than we have. Hey Sharan, how are you, man?
Hey Aditya, it's been a while, man. It's been a while. I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, that's good to know, man. So today we have with us he's Dr. Jhaveri. He is an internal medicine resident at Cleveland Clinic. So he has those boastful rights that he got into the best institute. And we really need to know how have you done this? And it's going to be a really inspiring journey for everyone out there who is having this dream of getting into the US. You matched into the best program in the country, and it's going to be a lot of learning experiences from you. So, can you give us brief into how did you get into USMLE? How did you start your journey?
That's a great question. I think I have been lucky in that regard on two chances. Um, One, for me, the I think the specialty was always more important than anything else. So I, ever since I started MBBS, I've always wanted to do internal medicine. Like nothing else even remotely appealed to me. And when it came to medicine, I was looking at options and I saw, okay, the US path is something that people tread. And so I was like, okay, this is something doable. That was one. That was like, I guess, the initiation. And then at the actual execution, I was lucky because I had a lot of people from NHL specifically, have been coming to the US for a long time. So I feel like I had a lot of people kind of guide me and show me the way. And it's not necessarily, I think it's more about perspective than anything else. Like they can sit you down and tell you that, okay, this is, you do first aid, you do UWorld, you do this, you do that. But it's more how you look at the journey and what are the things that actually matter in the journey in the long run. I think I had access to those things early on, which I think again I was lucky in that regard. Um,
Okay,
but yeah,
so yeah,
that's I guess that's yeah.
that's great. So I wanted to break it down. That when did you give your step one? Then when did you give your step two? And
I yeah
yeah, you can
yeah.
first begin with that. Yeah, sure.
So I think like after second year of my MBBS, I was sure that I want to do something different.
Okay.
Either it's something outside of medicine or something outside of MBBS at least. I was very frustrated by that time. But I think I started my third first, which was 2018. 2019, I think. Yeah, 2019, third first. And then I studied. The plan was to give it in the September of third first, as you know. And things happened, and that never materialized. Um, then we come into final year, and in March, COVID hit. The country went into lockdown. So I was sitting at home for 3 months. I was like, let's get this done. And that's when I studied really hard. And I finished my step one in June of 2020. literally a week later, we were called in for our COVID duties. We were on the streets doing COVID stuff. But yeah, so that's step one. Step two, again, I wanted to finish it in my internship. Didn't happen. Got delayed, delayed, delayed. I gave it in July of 2023, literally a month before the application. And then, yeah, now I guess like, and then OED was like somewhere in Jan of 2023.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Now,
that's,
now the interesting thing about your delays is that you did a lot during that time. So I
I
know that
mean,
you were
that
really
is question.
disappointed. You were really disappointed by your step one score. I do remember we used to
Yeah.
study together in Rajpath, and you were like, "Damn, I mean, this is average." But you had that drive in you. So what pushed you? What was your mindset when you got the score, and how did you change your fortunes, man?
Shoot.
Yeah, we need to know that, bro.
So, I think so about my step one score. Like I've been open about this that it wasn't the best. It was an exam that I studied. It was the exam that I studied the most for in my life. I've never studied harder for one particular exam ever. Um, and if you remember when we were studying in Rajpath, like I had that Nokia phone that I'd
I
carry.
I know we
Remember,
were the
right? Like
most.
we were the, you know what I mean? Like we're like, no, we will study. Like
Yeah,
no Instagram, like no Netflix, no Amazon Prime. Like we're just going to study. Like
yeah,
it's Kaplan or nothing, bro. It's
man,
like
yeah.
that's all we're watching. So it was mad, dude. That year and a half of from third first to that exam, I gave it everything I had. Right. I remember my first aid, I split it into two parts, like right in the middle from that hemonc section. But then I annotated both those halves so much that they became as thick as the original. And then I had to buy a new first aid because I couldn't read anything in the first one because it was so annotated. Right? Like it was that much effort that went into it. But it didn't, I feel like I didn't understand the assignment. And that's what I think. Like I worked very hard, but I didn't understand the assignment. And it I saw a lot of my friends do so much better than me with
Yeah.
so little effort, right? And it hits you, right? Like as an Indian medical student, it kind of hits you. It hits your sort of it hits you in the
Yeah,
and especially in medicine, like you're smart enough to get into medicine, so like you've been somewhere in your class, somewhere you've been the smart kid or whatever. But I think a couple of things happened after that exam that, to be honest, were good. One, it it showed me how quickly the world, how quick the world is to react, like will react to you. Like the moment I got my score, I remember the things that I heard, right? Like, oh, he's over smart, or he talks so much, he can't even score like a decent in step one, like he should give up. He used to use a Nokia phone and he still couldn't score. I mean, can you believe, like, imagine how dumb he is. You know what I mean? Like, and then you like hear all those things and you start realizing that people don't really know that step one is actually scored on a gradient. So
yeah,
plus minus eight, right?
yeah,
So when you have a score of say 240, your actual score is anywhere from 232 to 248.
yeah,
But the judgment you get at 232 is very different from the judgment you get at 248.
yeah.
Even though the 95th percentile is the same, like it's in the same, you know what I
Range,
mean,
yeah,
like it's in the
yeah,
same
yeah,
confidence interval.
yeah,
So you start realizing that okay, the judgments that are being passed for the losses aren't accurate,
yeah.
and so it's easy to detach from that. But then it's hard to detach when you win and people start praising you. It's hard to detach from that also.
100%.
Agreed.
Both the things are difficult.
So that I think that is one thing that happened. That I kind of moved away from the noise, I will say. That's one thing. The second thing that happened was I realized that okay, this is not like I did everything I could here. Like in this arena, I did everything I could. I also realized that fortunately for me, again, like lucky me, that the this process has multiple arenas where
Yeah.
you can play.
It's a wide field.
It's a wide field, right? Like in India, for example, it's very objective. It's one exam you give, it's one skill you're tested on. If you're good at that skill, you get what you want. If you're not good at that skill, you don't get what you want.
Yeah.
Here, it's like there are too many fields open, right? And so you have to do something in everything. So then you realize that, okay, in this one particular arena, no matter how much effort I give, it's not going to give me the returns that I would want. So you're like, okay, let's just start focusing on other stuff, and
Yeah.
then,
But basically, my idea is you never did anything like that ever before, right? You had no experience. You started from scratch, which
yeah,
is awesome that you looked at the opportunities, you reached out to people, you made those connections, and you actually made something out of it. So we really need to know that after your step one, how did you get into the OTTO Research Initiative? I am one of your students who has gotten a publication in Alzheimer out of it, which is crazy.
team,
That was my
team
first.
13. Oh, it was team 13, right? I think
I
you
don't
were team
remember that,
13.
man.
Yeah, yeah, you and yeah, it's team 13. Yeah,
But that was the first thing, and I just got it by sitting and studying with you in Rajpat, to be honest. I did nothing much, but that's the thing, that how did you start it? What was your approach when you were doing it? I saw you were really working hard. You were managing both the things. Step two, I think you were done with step one and you were doing
yeah.
step two and the initiative. So
And
how
the
was it,
internship,
man?
my friend, the
Oh, yeah,
internship.
and the internship
Like
as well.
that, I think so it was difficult. So I can tell you like what my perspective was at least. Right. So like after my step one was done, um, I got a chance to work on a bunch of meta-analyses at NHL. Again, like we had a professor from Ames Delhi who had moved to NHL, who knew more about research than I feel most people. And he taught us a bunch. And so I had an exposure to those different types of studies, right? Like I also got a chance to work on a randomized control trial with him for molnupiravir. So it's like you sort of I got like exposure, I'd say, to a bunch of different things. But then I also realized that it's very difficult to execute any of those things on a medical student level.
Yeah.
Right? So that's something that I had kind of understood. The other thing was there were a lot of things that I tried to start in and at NHL that had failed.
Mhm.
Right? Like I had an idea of a journal club, I had an idea of a research podcast, I had an idea of like bunch of things, but like none of those things materialized for some of the other reason. And because of that, I picked up on what works, right? Because you
Mhm.
start eliminating that, okay, it's not working because X, it's not working because Y, and you start understanding the different components that go into it.
Mhm.
So when 2021 rolled around, I got an opportunity to work with a bunch of people on these literature reviews, right? And the reason literature reviews at that time were good was because it took all the bureaucratic red tape out of the research process.
Yeah.
Right? You don't need IRBs. You
Mhm.
have access to literature, and you just need to know how to write. And that skill, writing, like just coming up with an idea, and then how do you systematically organize the information out there and condense it into a manuscript and
Yeah.
then push it and publish it. I think that process is still a mystery to most people in India because it is
100%.
not a requirement, right? Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
You have 50 publications on your CV that moves nothing for your NEET application,
Nothing. Yeah.
correct? Even though it is such an important skill, I
Yeah.
feel in the long run.
Yeah.
So I realized that okay, forget about publications and CV and all that. This is a skill. that people don't have.
Yeah.
And when you apply for research positions abroad, what is the first thing they ask you? Have you published before?
Yeah.
What can you do for me? And you don't know how to do stats and you don't know how to do any of those things, but if you can write, that's a in, right? So
Yeah.
if you, and I'm sure if you remember the conversations we had during our team meetings, that the
Yeah.
purpose of Otto's projects was never to publish. That was just a carrot,
Yeah.
right? Like nobody is going to like, I understand, I think everybody understands human psychology that much that if I say I'm going to teach you how to write, nobody cares. But if you say, oh, we're gonna get you published, people get like excited and they get to
Yeah.
work, right? That's just the motivation behind
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
The point is what you learn to write
Yeah.
and you continue to publish after you've stopped. After you've worked with us, you continue to publish. That was the idea behind all.
Yeah.
That we will teach you how to write well and we will take you from zero to one.
Yeah.
And that's what happened, man. I worked on a bunch of literature reviews. I realized that there is a system behind it. And then it's just like the Gujarati brain kind of kicks in and it's like, okay, this is a system, right? Like these are the different points of operation and points of contact. How do I streamline it? How do I make it? How do I streamline it? And on a very basic level, do I understand it at a very basic level? If I
Mhm.
do, can I streamline it, take the meat out, automate, and then scale?
Yeah.
Right? It's like this is like I don't know, man. It's just
No,
like this is
it
like
was
you talk to a
really.
Gujarati shopkeeper also, he will tell you the exact same thing, right? It's the
Uh-huh.
same principle. There is a process, simplify, streamline, scale.
Yeah. 100%.
That's it.
Definitely.
And like you understand it too, right? Like
Yeah.
as right. So that's what we did. And the thing is like it comes from a point where you really understand what you're doing,
Hmm.
right? And the reason I say that is because after we launched and we got some success, I saw a new research initiative
Yeah.
pop up every week.
100%. It was
And the
there.
number of people who've come to me from these different initiatives and they're like, dude, this is a scam. What is going on? This, that. I'm like, I'm sorry, man.
I mean,
It,
it's okay, man. I don't think we need to pay a lot of attention to outside things, but it is
but I'll tell
enormous.
you,
Yeah.
I will tell you this. So the reason is because your auto
Yeah.
was never about publications, right? It
Yeah.
was about teaching.
It was definitely about teaching, and so many people learned a lot, and I can tell because I'm one of them. And this was my first experience to getting a publication, and that too in a really good journal. So that was a big thing for me at that point,
And
especially when, yeah, yeah,
I'll tell you one more thing.
yeah,
I think the reason auto worked was a deep understanding of I, the market, right? Which
hmm,
is the average Indian medical student does not have a team, does not have
yeah,
resources, does not have the methodology, does not have, even though they're willing to work hard, they don't know the process.
yeah, that's
So
true.
the process is missing, the will is there, but the process is missing, the team is missing, the topic is missing. So my whole thing was, I will give you everything,
Yeah, that's fair.
right? Like all of the problems that you have, tell me what are the things that you don't have. We will do everything for you.
Yeah,
And let's make something beautiful out of it, right? So
yeah,
like for us, every paper to me was like an art project. It's like
yeah,
that publication when I'm 75, I'm not going to like look at that publication and be like, oh, look, I published in that paper. It doesn't matter at that point.
yeah.
But
It's not
it's
funny.
a piece of art, right? Like, because it's a process that we all went through
Yeah,
together. And that I think was beautiful.
yeah. And I know
That's
it
it.
because it came from within you. I think that you were really driven by it. I know research and doing all these compilation, it's not a very interesting thing. But
It,
the idea that you were taking so many people on your boat together was really exciting, and I
was fun.
completely understand, man. It was a wonderful journey for you, and that's why I'm excited to listen about it. But
No, it was fun.
at one point, how many teams were you managing? Like I was 13, so probably 20.
So we again, right? Like so that's the third step, right? The scaling step. So when we began, it was what, 6 teams, or we began with like 2 teams, right? And then we onboarded like 4 more teams. Each team was 6 people.
Yeah.
So we were managing about 5 to 6 teams, and then by that time, we were able to simplify and streamline the process. I was like, I had a decent understanding of point A. If I want to go from point A, which is like maybe an idea, to point Z, which is PubMed index publication dot, right? Like when you open a Google Scholar and you search your name, it should come. Like that is point Z to me, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
how do I go from here to here? Like what are the steps, right?
yeah,
But after you do 6, 7 projects, you're like, okay, now I know.
yeah.
And then I remember from like team 9, it was like 10 teams we launched. So that was like
Okay,
60 people. And then and then it was and then we went all the way to, I think we did a total of like 32 teams
okay.
across. And there's still like 1 or 2 projects that are pending that I'm managing,
It's
and I'm trying to like
crazy,
get
man.
them done. I'm trying to like work with them, get them
Yeah,
moving.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Doing cool.
it's crazy, man. Like, and it what's like I think the thing that I want to work on really for auto at least is like maybe a massive open online course, like a MOOC, like Coursera kind of a
Yeah.
thing, because there are like 6,000 people who've applied. We still get like 12 emails a week,
Oh,
7 to 12
yeah.
emails a week, and like I read them and I'm like, damn, good. Can I want to do something like to address that,
Yeah.
but you know.
Definitely, man. You can like you have 6,000 pending things going on. At least you can. I'm
Like do
definitely
something. I don't
positive,
know,
man.
man.
There needs to be something done. So many people are waiting out there, man. They are depending and rooting for you.
Dude, anytime, like, if I do something publicly, I'll get one message from now and like, sir, I applied in 2021. It's
Yeah.
been 3 years. What
Yeah.
is this?
It's okay,
Dude, I'm
man. At
sorry.
least it's
I'm
okay.
like, I'm sorry, man. I'm in
We
residency.
are doing it for the future, man. You are going to do it for the
Yeah.
future. I'm sure these people would have matched wherever they wanted. But I understand it's the need of an hour now in India doing research people, and also now the medical students are so much, active, and
They're
they are
amazing,
doing
man.
so much out
Amazing.
there,
They're
and I'm
amazing.
really
Yeah, yeah.
proud of them.
Unbelievable. They're
Yeah.
amazing.
I remember during my MBBS, the maximum I would do is go to a Kitli, spend the whole night there and do nothing, man. But this is
No, no, it's
really good.
crazy. The year on year, I feel like if you look at the evolution of the average medical student, I feel like the year on year, it's like a exponential curve where they're getting better and better exponentially.
Yeah, they're
It's
improving.
it's it's really exciting.
And they are growing in multi-dimensional things. It's not
Yeah.
just about their merit. I think since NEET has come,
Yeah.
the kind of people that are going into MBBS has really changed. Eh,
And for the better.
There's
For
yeah,
the better.
yeah, there's pre and post. We can definitely see a difference, and that is there.
Sure, sure.
But now I also wanted to ask you that what are the few things that you remember from your struggle days? Like once you were matching, all
Struggle.
these people who are saying BS about you, and they are telling you when you
Yeah.
once scored less and then you are applying. Do they tell you,
So,
right, that bro, go to community hospital, apply, don't even think about big universities. They all give you, we are beggars, we are not choosers, this, that, all these opinions.
so
So how did you
I'll
brush
say
it?
this. I'll say this. Even after I matched, like I told you, right? Like you have to detach from the wins also. So, um, the way I see it, I matched into a great place. That's great. I'm happy. I'm very lucky. to have come here. There are a million different variables that go into this that are not in my control. And the more people I meet and the more conversations I have, the more I realize um, how many things go into this, right? Like our application is one thing, right? So after I feel like I stopped caring about the PS or whatever after my step one, not after I matched.
Yeah, of course. After your
Right.
step one only. Because
After my
I want
step
to
one, I
know
was like,
after
I'm
that
done.
only. That from
Yeah.
there to matching, you need to cut that shit out. Otherwise, you are
Yeah.
you won't be able
You
to
will
get
not be able
anywhere,
to.
man. So,
And it's just you have to remind, dude, there's a lot of like self-talk that goes into it. There's a lot of like you have to keep reminding yourself why you're doing this, what you're about. Um,
yeah.
and you have to also be practical, right? You have to be like, okay, my step one score isn't the best. I know my scores aren't going to be the best. It's okay. But there are other things that I'm good at. Let me double down on them. I tried to do that during the time I had. And
Yeah.
then the other thing that I was like, okay, if I don't match like and then I was also exploring like other things, right? Like I worked in an AI healthcare company called Inference, right, for
Mhm.
6 to 8 months. And that was a lot of fun. So in my head, I was like, if I don't match in the first cycle, I'm gonna move to Bangalore, work there for a year, um, and then apply again. If that doesn't work out, it's okay, fine. That means it is what it is. I'm gonna end up either I'll go the MD medicine in India route or I'll do health tech for my life. It's okay, it's
Yeah.
fine.
That's fair.
Right. But like
Yeah.
so the thing that you could realize, or the thing that kind of kept me going was it's like it doesn't end.
Yeah. It doesn't end.
It doesn't end like like and this is a point like I've kind of stumbled upon. The world judges everybody cross-sectionally. Oh, you matched, congratulations. Oh, you didn't score so well, you suck, right? Like it's a cross-section, right?
Yeah.
I look at people as processes,
Yeah.
right? Like you won, great, but like where are you going, right? Because there are a lot of people who've done really well and have ended up nowhere, but then they're nowhere right now, but then they'll do something and they'll end up somewhere amazing, right? So like
Yeah.
I I assign value to the orientation of people, not to their coordinates in life. Like if that
Yeah.
makes any sense, right? Like
It does.
it's a
It does.
process.
But I
It's a
also think
process.
this comes within you because of the deep understanding within yourself. Because you are
Yeah.
insightful, you can see like you don't
That
judge
comes from
yourself.
loss.
So
It
no,
comes
yeah,
from loss, right?
no, loss is definitely a part. But I think that if you are judging yourself in different way, then you will be judging others in a different way as well. Because
But
sometimes people judge
it's
themselves very harshly that I didn't score, now I'm done. Even
yeah,
seniors or mentors that you look forward to or your parents, you go to them and they go for
yeah,
scores because they have not done those things. They will push you
yeah.
down because they don't know what the ideas and what beautiful things are waiting for you out there. And
But it's that's what it is, right? Like I remember, and it's this is like standard for every like family, right? Like I remember
yeah,
when my score came, I remember somebody somebody was telling me that oh make sure you don't be open about your score, like this that, and I'm like, why is there shame about this?
yeah,
Like what is the shame? Like I don't, you
yeah,
know what I mean? Like I never understood why there is shame when it comes to like failure. I'm like,
yeah,
there's the only reason that shame exists is because you think this is the end,
yeah. That is fair.
right? Does
100%.
that make sense?
It does. It does. That it
That
people
is why there is shame.
yeah. And why there is shame? Because now they only see this one
Yeah.
thing in their
You're
life.
like,
They are not
okay,
exploring other things. That's the
yeah,
problem, right? So many people are very unidirectional. If now you know that you have these hands in different fields, so you know if one field doesn't work for you, you are going to excel somewhere else as well.
I don't blame them, and I'll tell you why. Especially the generation before us, I don't blame them because where they grew up, India. had been independent for 50 years only, and
Yeah,
in their education, and they did not have options, man. We have options. We have the
of course.
opportunity to like, okay, if this doesn't work out, we can go here, we can do this, we can do that. For
Yeah,
them, it was you get the score, you get the job. That's the way. That's the only thing that's possible, and that is where they come from. That is there, and
100%.
I have a lot of empathy for them because I understand where they're coming from, but and I understand their concern and I understand their judgment also, but I don't accept it because the ground reality has changed.
It definitely has.
And
But
that's where you have to kind of sort of, I won't say believe in yourself, but you just have to remind yourself it's not the end. Like
yeah,
if you have to like just keep going.
yeah. And what else do you
Uh,
have to do, man? If you
what
don't,
option do you have?
yeah, like,
What option do you have?
and if you don't have any challenges in life, then what a boring life it is, man. You need some
Dude,
challenges.
as a first year resident, honestly, I would take that boring life over the challenges of every day. To be honest, I'm very happy.
You would want to tell that, but you are doing something else in a way. So you are
That's true.
taking
That is
on
actually true.
challenges
No,
and
that
you
is
are
true. I
loving.
think I agree with you. I feel like I enjoy it when like it sucks when it's not working, but then like when it starts working, that satisfaction of like
Yeah,
I I got this.
yeah,
I didn't got this. Now I have it. Like
yeah.
I have it now.
I know.
It's
I know you are a very driven individual. I don't think you
I've
will
been
be.
told so.
Yeah, and you are not going to live a boring life. I'm definitely sure of that. And the day you do, definitely give me a call, bro. But that's one
For sure.
thing. But I really want to know one more thing. You had a really interesting outtake with your interviews. I know
Yeah.
your interview preparation was very different. So can you tell us
Yeah.
briefly about that?
Yeah, I think and again, this comes from proximity to exceptional people. My school group, the friends, like my friends from school, they are this bunch of overachieving human beings, which I have stumbled into. Again,
Okay.
right? And so before I started interview prep, I asked all my seniors, I asked everybody, I asked all these auto mentees that I had, right? Like these people who'd matched, like, what did you do? What did you do? What did you do? And then I got a gist of this is what I need to prepare. I think the thing that changed the most is I have a friend who went to IIT Chennai for engineering
Mhm.
and then got into BCG for 2 years.
Okay.
He's currently in a different firm right now, but he worked at BCG for a while. And finance interviews are the toughest to crack, right? There are like 7, 8 rounds, and you have to like
Mhm.
really you gotta know your stuff. And I remember having a conversation with him, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, the last semester all we do is we do like business cases and we practice." And he was like, he practiced like 50, 60 cases before the actual interview.
Yeah.
I'm like, were you doing electrical engineering? And he's like, that has nothing to do with this. The interview is the most important, and the reason you get through it is because you practice and the you basically understand the dynamics of the interview first, and then you can think on your feet and be creative. But you need to have that down.
Yeah.
Right? You can't be creative without having the fundamentals down. And the fundamentals you can get down through practice.
Practice. That's the only way.
So that is something I knew that okay, I'm going to have to practice. And then I have a very close friend of mine, Karan Sharma, who I credit, who's in New York, who
Okay.
I credit my interview prep to. He set up a group. He introduced me to Mohit, the co-founder of Dog Suit, right, by the way.
Okay.
And the three of us, so Karan was in New York at that time. Mohit was in Dubai and I was in Ahmedabad. And the three of us, every day from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., would get on a Zoom call and basically chill. Like we'd hang out. But then we'd like practice things. And every day it would be like, it would start with tell me about yourself. and like we'd be like, oh my God, I know this, but like I'm going to have to practice again. And so before my first interview, I think I'd done like 60 mock interviews by that time with these two.
It's
And
crazy, man.
dude, it's like people ask me that, oh, you had such a great CV, why would you? I'm like, dude, the amount of like variability that this process has, right? The amount of randomness and the chance that this process has, you have to give everything.
Yeah.
And it helped, man. It showed. Like I can tell you those questions that you know that you're going to be asked. You've done it so much. Right? Like imagine reciting "Tell me about yourself" 60 times every day.
Yeah, that's
Like that,
insane, man.
your
And
answer changes, right? It changes. On day one,
yeah,
it's cringe. On
yeah,
day 30, you think you have it. On day 60, like
it's
it's a
awesome.
shift.
Yeah, I know, I get your
You know what I mean? So
gist.
it's you have to practice. And the thing is like we have you ever given an interview for anything before
Nothing.
this?
Never. We are never giving any interviews before we get into real world where people usually get a job. I don't think doctors give any interviews at any stage in their lives.
That's what I'm saying, right? Because and we've not done this. So like, and I've spoken to this in another interview that I did. I talked about this. That we've been playing cricket all our lives, and now we're playing baseball.
Yeah.
You are going to have to work harder than everybody else. Otherwise, like, how do you expect to
Yeah, it's
get
not
through?
possible. That's definitely true. And I see this quite often that even I did the same mistake that during my first cycle, I was like, I don't want to practice. I will see what happens in the interview. And it showed. I didn't match that year. But then next year I was prepared that, bro, this time I'm not gonna leave any stones unturned. And it's extremely crucial that
And
you
again, one
practice.
of the reasons I had that was because I had spoken by that time to so many people in that journey that I realized how much it takes to match.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Definitely.
even in auto, dude, like if you remember your own teammates, there are
Hmm.
people who hadn't matched for a year. There are people who had been on unmatched for 2, 3 years.
Yeah.
Like
There are there. Uh,
and they're still there and they're
they're
still
still in the
interviewing
process.
this
Yeah.
season, right? And like I and my whole thing was, dude, I if I don't match, it cannot be because I didn't work hard enough.
Yeah.
For some
That's
other
fair.
reason, if it doesn't, okay, it's okay. But I have to have given it my all. Otherwise, like I don't want that regret at the end. Ki yaar, I should have practiced.
Yeah.
That doesn't fly.
And one more thing I loved about your interview preparation was, in fact, you did it every day and you used to answer the same question in different ways every time,
Yeah,
which was really crazy.
yeah.
That you could test how people react to it and you get that glimpse into the process and it's really commendable, man.
That's where creativity comes in.
I give your example to everyone I meet or anyone who asks me about the interview. I give your example that this is the guy who matched into Cleveland because of his
Dude,
interview practicing. And
again,
that's
so again that's and I'll tell you this again. What did the interview practice play a role in matching here? I'm sure it did. Is it the only thing? If you do it,
no,
are you going to match?
no,
I if
no.
I did it again, I don't know if I would match.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
fair.
very important to like remember
That's
that, right?
fair.
Like you
But
can't
now,
replicate it. Yeah.
but the thing is, you have to see things step by
Yeah.
step. You
Yes.
or if you see the whole picture, it's different. But when someone
Yeah.
is preparing for their interviews, they need to
Yeah.
focus just on that. And you
Yeah.
have done the same. That when
Yeah.
it is auto, you focus on auto. When it is
Yeah.
step two, it's step two. So
Yeah. Yeah.
people have a very narrow vision. When we see ourselves in that situation, we are looking at things one step at a time. So when
Yes.
you have that step in front of you have to give the
That's all
best
you're doing.
example, and I think
Yeah.
maybe that's how I look at things. Maybe different people have different ideas,
No,
but
it's
that's
fine. Like
great, man.
to be honest, like the interview thing for me, like I was having so much fun. Like the interview season, and I'll be very frank. For me, I had a lot of fun in my interviews. I
Yeah,
was scared, like any applicant, you're scared, you hyperventilate a little bit. The fight and flight response kicks in. But
Yeah.
the reason I had fun was because I knew in my journey there is nothing else I could have done. And I'm like, if I don't match, then God is like, bro, take the hit. And I'm like, got it. I will take that hit. Like,
Barabar. Yeah.
but like you have to get to that point. Like you can't get there. You can't get to that. Like that is a luxury, right?
Yeah.
That
Definitely.
is a luxury that comes from working so hard for so long that
Yeah.
you can actually enjoy that process. And I feel like I do that's how I look at like that to me that was my return on investment.
Yeah.
That all those years I worked hard, everything, all that's good. That interview process, I was like, if I match also, great. If I don't match, that's God telling me take the hint.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I have left on the table.
Yeah. Now, God, you say this from the point where you worked 100% hard. There are few people who think they worked hard, but they actually didn't. So that is a
Fine,
different
man.
story. You have to
But
keep
again,
going.
yeah, you have to, and then there is also this point of like, I feel like there's also a privilege. There is also that the privilege that comes with choice, right? Right? Like I had the opportunity to do a lot of these things and not have to go to like not have to work in a hospital right after my graduation and fund my USMLE journey.
Yeah.
We have friends, I'm sure you do
Yeah.
too, right? Like who have paid who have self-funded their journey.
Yeah.
So like they don't have the time to like run initiatives and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because they're doing 12-hour shifts in the hospital.
But I think
So
that also gives them an edge in a way
it
because when they
does,
come here for an
absolutely.
observership, it
They
completely
are
shows, man,
excellent.
because they are killing
It
it.
shows. It shows.
So,
So that's what I'm saying. Right? Like
yeah,
so, it like those things
it's
also
worth.
matter.
Yeah, 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 definitely.
It also
There are
matters.
so many people who ask me this question that what if I do residency here and then I go there? Isn't it wasting time? I'm like, how is it wasting time? Like
It's the
you did a
best.
residency, you got 3 years of experience and working with so many people. You cannot
You will
say it's a waste
dominate.
of time, man.
You will dominate.
Yeah.
Like if I if I could have done that, I would like I would have like I think that is the ideal path. Like
Yeah.
you do residency in India and then you come here, dude. You will win. You will win.
Sharan, I'm telling you, recently I have one of my seniors. He is an ophthalmologist in India, probably 10 years my senior. So he has been practicing ophthalmology for 10, 12 years outside after doing his residency. And now he decided to come to the US for a fellowship. He got into John Hopkins
There you go.
fellowship and he's killing it. He is going to be
Nice.
a superstar over here.
Yeah,
But
yeah, because it's like it's again, and that's the thing, right? Because it's the work ethic that comes with coming from India. It's just you're just used to longer hours. You're used to working hard. You're used to doing those things. So I think it's a cultural thing also.
yeah,
Right? Like
definitely.
we do tend to work hard. We do tend to go the extra mile. Like I don't know how many like and people work hard everywhere, and I'm sure even here there are people that I see they're so smart. If they're brilliant
Yeah,
and they're excellent and they do so well. But I also think that just like I feel like where we come from, we're like like it's a given. Like working hard is not aspirational. It's like
yeah,
you have to like
yeah. That's a
it is
compulsion
the
in a way.
it is a baseline. No, it's like it's baseline. It's like
Huh?
don't be proud of working hard. Like
Yeah,
that's like everybody works hard.
definitely.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's
But
that's what I
there
think.
are different ways in which you could work hard and get
That's
different
true.
kinds of results. That's the thing. And usually the path that we are told is not the only path we have. Like
Yeah.
there are
Again, and
multiple
that's
avenues.
that's what I told you, right? Like it comes from like the people before us did not have the options that we do.
You know, for new people, man. People before us, we don't
For
even want to talk
new for
about
new
them.
people.
Because
Right.
they don't care.
Yeah.
But for new people, definitely things are going to open up. And
Dude, I
Also,
have
I
friends from
wanted to ask you
MPhils.
that how did doing all these things and
Hmm.
getting all these experiences help you impact your personal life? How did it change you as a person? Do you think it made an impact?
A huge. Dude, even in my personal statement, I remember I wrote this that, especially with auto, I think I remember writing that my mentees taught me more about life than I could ever teach them about research.
Yeah,
Right? Like, dude, and I'll tell you one of the reasons was right, I was working primarily with people who were 2, 3, 5, 7 years older to me.
yeah,
They have seen life. I
true,
haven't. Like I'm
true.
a kid. I still think I'm a kid,
Yeah,
right? And they like when I talked to them, when I dealt with, I remember. I'll give you an example, right? Um, and I learned this the hard way, but I remember like so I've learned to give the benefit of doubt to people, especially in professional settings. Like, and the reason I do that is because in auto there was one of our teams. One of the students basically went AWOL and no replies, no response for 2, 2.5, 3 weeks. And I was like, dude, this is extremely unprofessional, right? Like everybody's like waiting here, everybody's working
yeah,
hard. We are all giving our time and energy. I was in internship at that time. I was working like I would come home at 8 p.m. and work in auto from 10 to 1:30 at night.
yeah.
Like, why am I doing all of this? How can you just like, and how can you do this? Like, right? And I remember I called him up and I like blasted him. I'm like, dude, this is unprofessional. What are you doing? This, that, whatever. And he told me that his dad had been diagnosed with cancer
Okay. It's not bad.
and it was like CA pancreas.
Mhm.
Right? So you know the prognosis.
Yeah,
And so like those 2 weeks, he's like, and then I'm like, would if my God forbid, if somebody in my family had that, would I care about research? Probably not.
yeah, of course.
So from that point, every time something has gone wrong, I ask them, hey, are you okay? How's it going? Are you fine? Is everything all right? Is there something that's going on that I can help you with?
Mhm.
9 times out of 10, I've found that people are professional and they, for whatever reason, they've not been able to complete their work or they've not been able. There's some reason behind it,
Yeah,
and there is some leeway. And I always educate them. I'm like, listen, I understand. I don't expect you to work on this. Please communicate with the team so that everybody understands that.
Mhm.
This is something that MBBS is not going to teach you.
Definitely. It cannot, man.
It cannot.
Yeah.
And it's things like this, right? Like there are so many lessons that auto taught me
Mhm.
about dealing with people who are younger than me. Like how I speak with them is very different,
Yeah.
right? And then there are people, I remember there was one team where there was somebody who was like 7 years older to me and who
Okay.
was basically like bossing the team around. And like I had to call him and be like, excuse me, this is not done. And if this is gonna continue, I'm gonna kick you out. Like I'm so like I understand you're seven, like you're elder to me, sir, and I respect you and I respect your medical treaties or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're not gonna be professional, I'm gonna kick you out.
Yeah.
So it's like
That's a
those
fair thing.
conversations, it's hard. And I was an intern at that time, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's like I'm 20, 21, 22, 23 years old. I'm talking
Yeah.
to somebody who's 32, who's been in practice.
Yeah.
But you
It
have
was
to
a
have
great.
those difficult conversations. And I think auto allowed me to do that. And
Mhm.
I have met, I cannot tell you how many people have, like I met you throughout,
Yeah.
right? Like,
But ours was
like
not
we
auto in a way.
studied, yes, we studied together, that's true.
Yeah.
But like, I think we interacted so much because of auto,
Auto was a connection that kept us going
right?
for sure. Yeah.
And like, every team had 2 or 3 people that I really connected with,
Yeah.
and I'm still in touch.
That's amazing, right? I mean,
So
you.
on a personal level, I think so. Again, I'm telling you, like people ask me what is the thing that you got from auto the most? Like, dude, the CV and the creation and all that, like at 75 when I'm in a hospital bed, none of those things matter. The people I met through auto,
Yeah, 100%.
they have changed my life.
Yeah,
And they took me out of my college. And because we had people from what, 30 countries.
yeah,
Like we were talking
it's
with people, like we were
crazy.
working with people in Brazil and like Mexico, and like we had people from like Italy and South Africa. And it's like, dude, you're like, it's awesome, right? Like you get to
Yeah,
work with all these people. And it's just,
yeah.
it was phenomenal, man. I think it was a real roller coaster. I had a lot of.
That's crazy, man. You got a glimpse of working in the US by in your internship only. That's amazing. And that is why you were meant to be here because you
I don't
did
know,
great
right?
things, you
I
exceptional
don't know,
things.
buddy. I don't
So
know, man. I don't know. I'm here now, right?
yeah.
I would.
And that's the beauty of it, right? That when you were in internship, you never thought or you never even aspired that I'm going to go to Cleveland. Your only goal was to get a residency in US.
You know, it was so funny. After I matched, people were like, "Oh, Sharan got into his dream college," and I'm like, "When did I ever say that this was my dream college?"
Yeah. Like
I,
that's
dude,
very
you don't dream about it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I laughed so hard. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like any, कुछ भी हो रहा है, कुछ भी हो रहा
I
है.
know, man, because I know that when we spoke, I saw that you really wanted to match. That was definitely a thing, but I don't think you had these things in mind before things started materializing or you started getting interviews. Then, of course, you would aspire for the best.
You aspire for the best, but
Yeah.
even at that point, I remember I always like I'm like it's not up to me, na.
Yeah.
It
It's
isn't
not.
up to me, right? Like because it's so subjective. Every university has its own criteria, its own like um, inclusion exclusion criteria, right? And I'm like, okay, I've given my best. I'm gonna end up where I'm gonna end up.
Yeah.
But I have, and it comes back to that point where I'm like, there is nothing else I could have done.
Yeah. Nothing
There is
else.
nothing else I could have done. So
You gave it all,
where
man.
I end up,
And wherever
yeah,
you
and
end up is the best
wherever,
for you.
and exactly, and the flip side to that is also, man, that when you match into a good residency, okay residency, whatever residency that you subjectively feel, I think I realized one thing very early on that, like there's a quote by that dad used to tell me that खुद को कर बुलंद इतना कि खुदा तुम्हें खुद
Uh-huh.
आके पूछे कि बता तेरी रजा क्या है.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
applies for residency also. You can go to a great residency program and still not do anything, and you can go to a normal residency program, a non-brand residency
Yeah.
program, and do exceptional.
100%.
And so, like, it doesn't end.
He doesn't end. It's an
Even
unending.
after the match, it doesn't end. Like, you know
Anyway.
what I mean?
Yeah, 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 I
What I'm
understand what
saying.
you're.
So it's a process. That's what I keep telling. That's what I've been telling you that it doesn't end. And so even when I was dreaming, I was like, okay, when I was interviewing, I was like, if I match at a great place, great. That is one road that I'll be on. If I match at an okay place, that will be one road that I'm on. If I don't match, that'll be another road that I'll be on.
Yeah,
And in all three places, the constant is me, right?
yeah,
So
that's fair.
whatever happens, I'm going to be there. It's okay.
Yeah, I'll do it. That's
I'll
the
do
goal.
it. It's okay. Yeah. It's like, and that's the only, dude, that's like, I feel like that's the only way you can deal with the pressure of these interviews and all of this. Otherwise, it's too much.
And this is a self-inflicted pressure. There's no pressure from outside.
You know, there is a lot of pressure.
I
What are you
mean,
talking about?
there is pressure from
There,
outside, but we have more pressure from us on ourselves that, bhai, I have to
you
prove it
work
to
so hard.
this. I have to prove it to them. Like you don't need
But
to prove it to anyone. You have
it's
to
not
prove
about
it to
proving.
yourself.
No, it's not also about proving. Yeah, you also worked so hard. You know, you have your family that's there. there is that Indian mindset that you are the son or the daughter, and you want to like you want your parents to be happy, you want to give
Yeah,
back to them. There are
yeah,
all of these things that are in you. It's there even in me, right?
100%.
Like on the back of my phone, I have a picture of my mom and dad,
Wow.
right? And it's like, and it keeps me going, right? Like, but then it's I want to make them proud too, you know. And there are
Yeah,
all of these other societal. I won't say they're pressures, man. They're just cultural things, and they are great for pushing you, but sometimes they can become a source of
yeah,
unnecessary pressure, especially at the time when you have to perform.
yeah,
And at the time when you have to perform, you have to detach.
yeah, definitely.
You have
I
to
think if you are
detach.
into the process, then you feel detached automatically. Because
Because,
if you're not into the
yes,
process, then you are wandering around.
you're
If
thinking
you are into
about
the
all of these.
process, yeah. So I think getting into the process and getting into the skin of it is really crucial according
You need
to
to
him.
stop worrying about. So it's like the way I see it. It's like if you want to be a cricketer, right? You want to be a cricketer if you like playing cricket. You don't want to be a cricketer for the sponsorship deals and the TV time and the glory, like, and all that.
Yeah,
Do it because you enjoy cricket.
yeah,
So otherwise, it's too hard.
that's
It's too
fair.
hard, man. It's too hard.
Yeah, it is, it is. But it's going to be really great. I think it's a great journey to be on. I think it shows you your sides which you never seen
Oh yeah,
before.
oh yeah.
And I think this journey is more about developing yourself as a person in a way. And it's not about the scores, it's not about anything else, but it's about doing things that you've never done and being excited about it. I think that's how I
That's the
look at it.
thing, now. That's the thing, right? Like it's the whole the being excited about thing. Like that's the driving force for me.
Yeah,
That's honestly that's all that's what keeps
yeah,
me going. That oh, I'm gonna be doing something new. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun.
yeah,
And that's why I even right now, right? Like that's why I'm doing everything that I'm doing right now. It's exactly why, because it's fun.
yeah. It is
Otherwise,
fun.
it's a chore, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I have transformed. So for me
You also
also,
you gone through that same
so
process,
for
right?
me
Over the
also,
last few
it was
years.
like this. That when I got into med school, I had never tried alcohol. I see it like that. So I was really excited by it. I want to try it. I want to try it. But then doing it a lot, I feel now at this point, I'm like I don't need it. But I
I love
always,
how
yeah.
I love how both residency and alcohol kind of kills your soul a little bit, but it's okay.
I mean, it's not even about that anymore. But I think I always pursue my things in a way of excitement. That if alcohol excites me, I'm gonna do it. If something else excites me, and at this point, this is a really exciting thing for me to do along with you
Yeah,
and having really nice conversations with people, and that's why I'm
it's
doing
the
it right
best.
now.
It's and see, you don't know if you're gonna pursue this for the rest of your life,
Yeah, we don't know
right?
that.
But what's gonna happen is in this process, you're going to pick up things that are going to stay with you. So that the next time something like this happens, you because of your experience, you're going to be able to act on that problem or solve that problem very quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
That's how
That's
I see
fair.
it,
That's fair because
right?
you.
Like, and that's what I was like. That's again coming back to auto. Like, that's what happened, right? Like, because of all of that, and because of running those teams, managing logistics, understanding things, now it's like it's much more easier for me to run something like that. Um, and understand the processes and the logistics of how things get done,
Yeah,
idea to execution,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
what are the principles that go into taking something that you were thinking about to, and how difficult it is to execute even something as simple as recording online and posting it. The number of steps that go
Yeah.
into it,
It's
the editing,
enormous.
the captions, the camera, the angle, the audio, it's like there's so many things that people don't. They're like, oh, okay, you're recording something and you post it. It's no, 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 buddy. There are so many things that go into it.
That's fair. Idea to execution for laundry is difficult sometimes. Oh, this is a lot.
But it's, you get better at it.
Yeah,
Eventually and it's a peek into life, man. It's a peek into how things actually work.
yeah, yeah.
And it's beautiful.
So I think USMLE should be done for a right reason, not for the money or not for, these
Again, yeah, Aditya,
glory
again,
of
see,
America.
no, no. So the glory of America, I don't know about that, but like the money thing, I will say, like again, like before when I was starting my journey, I was like, oh, it shouldn't be about the money, this, that, whatever. But over time, I realized that yeah, there are too many people with so many different life circumstances that why they're pursuing something
Yeah.
is not up to judgment. It is up to them,
Yeah.
whatever reason they're doing it. But I will say, like, to the listeners here and to all my juniors, I always tell them that if you're going to do USMLE as an escape, you are not going to last.
Yeah.
Because you have to, if you want to do this whole thing, it has to be because you want to do it, not because you don't want to do something else.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because you won't make it. Like you
Yeah.
won't make it. It's too hard. There are too many failures associated with it, and you won't survive.
And I really think that most of the medical students that we see in I mean, our circle and in Ahmedabad and these people, they are very well settled people because
It's
very
because you're talking
resourceful
about
people.
Ahmedabad.
Yeah.
No, buddy, you're talking about Ahmedabad, right? You talk to people in Bharat, not in India,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
which is 90% of India, by the way.
Yeah.
Talk to
That is
people in
true.
Bharat,
But from
dude.
them,
They
yeah, how
they
many are pursuing USMLE?
a lot. I'll tell you, a lot.
Really?
And that's what I'm trying to, again, this is what I'm trying to tell you, right? Like, this is another thing that auto taught me. Like,
Okay.
I thought that, okay, USMLE is something that people in tier one, tier two cities pursue, and
Yeah.
that's it. So you have people from everywhere now. And it's not just
Definitely.
USMLE, there are people who are going to Germany, there are people who are going
Yeah.
to all
Germany.
these different Germany, Australia, even it is wide open. The playing field is wide open. And the reasons that they are pursuing it, the are very different from something that, for example, for me and you, it might be exciting. We have the
Yeah.
privilege of pursuing excitement,
Definitely. We are
right? We
privileged.
have the
Yeah.
privilege of pursuing excitement.
100%.
They might not. And why they are pursuing their journey is, I feel, equally, if not more respectable, that they're
Is
doing something
equally
hard.
respectable. Everything
Yeah.
is fair
Yeah.
in fair senses, but there is this cost that comes with this journey, and if they are pursuing it, they must be aware of it, and that is how it's going to happen. Like,
And they work for it, man.
yeah, they
They
work for
work
it.
for it. They work
100%.
for it, and I have a very close friend of mine who from Kashmir.
Okay.
He's a resident now,
Okay.
on the East Coast, and he told me that he funded his whole journey from with loans from his friends and working in the hospital, taking public transport.
Yeah.
For a year or 2 years, he did that, and now he's a resident, and he saves money and he pays it back. He sends it back to home,
Yeah.
and I'm like, dude, that I feel like that is inspiring to me.
Yeah. It is
Right. So like
inspiring.
there are all of these people that we don't know because we have from
Yeah.
Amsterdam there are so many people pursuing USMLE.
Completely
We
agree.
never get to talk to these people. But
We
through
don't.
through auto I met so many people
Yeah.
from all these different walks of life. And I think
Yeah.
that again it's
It's
that's what I'd say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But I think even for them, after they come here for their residency and once they are settled, it's going to be a block. Like the problem with money is going to be solved. That's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say. And once it is solved, and I think who comes from these backgrounds, they are extremely driven in a way that they
Crazy
are
man.
going to make it. Like if
Mhm.
they are making it without resources, they are going to kill it over here as well.
You're
But
inspiring. They
but
inspire
the
me.
main problem that is the burnout which goes on here. which comes from a point where, then
But the
money
motivations change. Buddy, the motivations change.
motivations
After,
change
and
and
I'll
it's
tell, no,
also
no, no, I'll tell
tiring.
you. No, no, yes, I'll tell you, and I'll tell you what happens. The problems change,
Problems
right?
change.
When you are working for survival and you're working, okay, I need to make money so that I can pay back loans or I can support my family or all that. At that time, there is a certain drive. Once, and like you said, once you come here, you start earning, that gets solved. At that point, one of two things can happen. Either now that you don't have the drive, you burn out,
Yeah.
as you said.
Or
You
you
burn
or
out,
you
or you're
waste money.
distracted, or
Yeah,
you
yeah,
waste money,
distracted.
or all of that. All
Yeah.
of that. Or the thing that I've seen, at least amongst my friends, is that they find something else to be motivated by. And they now have the privilege to
Pursue
chase
that.
excitement and chase
Yeah.
curiosity and fulfill that curiosity.
Yeah.
And then they do it with the same energy and same effort that they were pursuing it before.
Yeah.
And they do excellent and they do
Of
really well.
course. But that is the thing, that
One of two
always
things
pursue
happen.
the excitement. At the
Again,
end.
at
At the
the
end.
yes. But
But
again,
now,
like I said, right, once you get to that point, sure,
yeah,
why not?
people,
Otherwise, what are you going to do? What are you like? What are you going to do with the next 50 years of your life? You're going to sit here
no one
like
has a
and do
plan
what?
about it. I think
And
some
dude, your
people might
20s.
have.
In your 20s right now, you don't have responsibilities.
Yeah.
You don't have kids. You don't have like this is the time to like do all of this.
Yeah.
Right? You
Definitely.
like in your first year of residency, you don't have you anyways you're short of time. Whatever little time you have, you're using it to pursue something that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Right? When you start working, you're going to be married, you're going to have kids, you're going to have responsibilities of your family. The amount of like the distance between so the distance or the overlap between what you want to do and what you have to do is going to get lesser and lesser as we grow older.
Yeah. That's fair.
And so like this is the time.
But coming back to it, that when do you see yourself getting settled down, brother?
Did mom ask you to
Huh?
put that in? Like, did mom give you a call and like Aditya ask him this on camera? Like, I want to know.
Why would you brought this topic that you have to settle, you want to do
Yeah,
this, you want
no, no,
kids. So I'm asking, when do
sure,
you see
man.
yourself getting there?
I look at myself as a kid, man. I feel like I'm still a kid. I don't think that's ever gonna change. Um, I don't know when things will happen, things will happen. But I know that for me to keep going, I need to have a creative like outlet. Whether it's like the dog suit right now, that's my creative outlet right now.
Yeah.
It's fun for me to create something, right? Um, and it'll be like something else down the line. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Um, live in the moment. That's
Live
what
in the
I'll say to
moment.
it. Live in the
Okay,
moment.
okay. Coming back to privilege. All right, all
Come back to
right.
privilege.
So that's the thing. So Sharan, it was really a wonderful talk. I don't know if we are missing any points out here today, but if you had to give one advice to inspire all these people out there.
Um, it's a good question, and I think my answer to that changes every time I'm asked that question. I think I think the only thing I'll say is like don't like remember that it doesn't end.
Yeah,
Like
I
that's it.
think that's the best part. Yeah,
It doesn't end. It doesn't end when you lose, and it doesn't end when you win.
yeah, it doesn't.
And what I like do it for the like and if you're doing it for like if you're pursuing if your ambition and if you're pursuing any of this for like because for external validation or because you're insecure and you're doing this, you will hit a point where either you will burn out or you will continue pursuing this, but it'll never be satisfied.
Yeah,
So it has to like don't do it. Like, do it because you want to do it, because you enjoy it. Like, make sure that it's internal, it's coming from the inside.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's too hard. And you won't. And the thing is, because it's so hard, right? If your pursuit is based on willpower and stuff, you will burn out.
That's true.
Unless you enjoy it and unless it's fun for you.
Yeah.
So pick the right thing and remember, after you pick the right thing, also remember that it doesn't end. If you win,
Yeah.
it doesn't end. If you lose, it doesn't end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So keep going, mates. And hopefully you'll end up in better positions than we have. And
yeah.
we
I
really
mean, more
want
power
that
to
to
you.
happen. Yeah,
More power to you, buddy. More power to
definitely.
everybody here.
And
Yep.
that's it. We can close it out.